Welcome to Construction Champions Podcast, where we are burning the house down and rebuilding it twice a week. I'm your host, Rod Nussbaum, and I am here to help you become the champion that you're meant to be. Along with our amazing guests along the way, we will provide you with the resources, the latest and greatest. You will sit down with disruptors in the construction industry. And my goal from day one has always been to change the mindset around the construction industry. No more where we let the 3% of bad apes dictate the entire reputation of. Welcome back, champions, to another episode of Construction Champions Podcast. I'm your host, Rod Nussbaum, and wherever you're listening, from YouTube to the hundreds of different platforms and on the radio now. So if you're in your car and listen to us on the radio, that's awesome. So everybody, we are here, as always, to change the mindset around the construction industry. You started your business for a reason, and my goal is to help you get to that reason. And I don't do it myself. This isn't about Ron Nussbaum. This is about me bringing on the people that can impact your business right now as you're listening. And today's no different. Sean, it is fantastic to have you here today.
Man, it's an honor, Ron, to be on here and have the opportunity to hopefully share some wisdom with your audience and, like you said, help them to build their businesses better.
Awesome, man. Well, before we dive into it, why don't you introduce yourself to all the champions out there listening?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Sean Garner. I always say that I'm a husband, father, and business owner, kind of in that order. So I think sometimes, especially in the business world, we can let the businesses take over our lives. And you see a lot of business owners, unfortunately, that are on, third, fourth, fifth marriages and don't have a relationship with their kids. So I think a big thing for me is the priorities of that order. But my wife and I, we own several businesses. I've been an entrepreneur for about 15 years, done everything from the fitness industry to we own medical companies and consulting companies. And now the main thing that I run day to day for us is our marketing agency. So I have Sean Garner Consulting, and we specialize in story brand marketing, where we build websites, sales funnels, search engine optimization to help local service-based businesses be the industry leader so they stand out and dominate online. Because I'm a big believer that the best companies are not the ones that are the most popular on social media. We really believe in helping the true masters of their craft, industry leaders, stand out online so they can do what they're passionate about, which is their craft, and not have to worry about the marketing.
Awesome, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. So we're going to dive right in there. I'm going to ask the $1 million question, and that is, what makes a construction champion?
I love that you asked this question because I do that, but I call it differently. So with us, with our marketing agency, we always are trying to help people become the industry dominator. And to me, the construction champion is that exact same thing. It is the person that is a true master of their craft, and that they are not just good at what they do, but they're passionate about it. They're not just trying to do this for a business to make a little bit extra money. But man, if they're a GC, they want to be the best GC. If they're a home builder, man, they take pride in the homes that they build, and they actually think about the people that are going to be living in them. And they're not just doing it for a paycheck, but they're truly passionate about what they do. And they are the true industry experts. They're thinking of new techniques and processes and systems to really push through their industry and everything forward, or their specific trade forward. That, to me, is a construction champion. And that's what we like helping, is those people become the industry dominators by helping them to fix and simplify their marketing so they stand out online.
I love it, man. Dominating is part of being a champion. You can't be a champion without dominating. I mean, look at the track record across the word. Those people, they dominate. People that consistently win championships dominate in every aspect of their life.
And yeah, 100%. And one thing that I always clarify for people, dominating doesn't necessarily just mean like crushing and beating down the competition. I think dominating means being the best of you, because I think a lot of times, even if you think of some of the specific trades like plumbers or electricians and stuff, they often think that they're competing against others, which in some regards they are. But I also believe that every business owner, you are one, if you're a business owner, I believe that you are called to that. I don't think that that is one that everybody should be an entrepreneur or business owner. But if you are called to that. There is a special calling on your life to be a business owner because there are specific people that only you are going to be able to help. And if you are not dominating what you do and staying in your lane and being the best at that, man, those people that you are called to serve aren't going to get the help that they need. So for me, the domination thing is not just about beating down your competition. Yes, I love being number one. I want everybody to be number one, but it's not about beating down the competition, but it's about knowing your path, knowing your lane, and dominating that trajectory for your business.
I love it, man. You're in the thick of this. What are the trade? What are the companies that are right now dominating in their marketing? What are they doing that others are not?
I think one, they understand that if you simplified it down, they have a clear, holistic approach. So I think what I've seen, especially specifically here in the trades, is I see a lot of siloed efforts to where, oh, I listened to a podcast and they said that I need to do LSA or local service ads, so I'm going to hire this company over here to do that. And then, oh man, I need to do billboards, and so we're going to hire this company to design some billboards. We need to do SEO, so we're going to hire this company. And what they've done is they've kind of piecemealed a lot of things together without having a clear, cohesive strategy to see how that stuff connects. Because it's not that each one of those individual things is wrong, but oftentimes what happens is with all of these siloed marketing efforts, people are just doing their little pocket and they're not taking into consideration the overall brand or the business and the goals for that business owner. They're just doing the thing that they were assigned without having that cohesive strategy. So I think one of the very first things that we do whenever we start working with a client as a certified story brand guide is we help them to clarify their marketing message. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure if we're starting to do all of those things, that we have a unified brand message that we're actually talking about. So that way, whenever I hire my paid ads guide or my social media graphic designer or somebody to edit YouTube short form content, whatever it is, that we have a consistent brand messaging that we're filtering all of our marketing messaging through. Because too often, unfortunately, most websites in the trades and copy in the trades sounds like it was written by somebody in the trades. And so it's very confusing. It's a lot of insider language. Nobody understands what it actually is. And people assume, I'm a roofer. Everybody knows what I do. I'm a plumber. Of course, everybody doesn't even know what I do. Not necessarily. We need to make sure that we have a consistent and clear marketing message. So when everyone from the business owner to the sales team to the marketing guy to people that are door knocking possibly for your business, they're all using the same words. So that way, whenever customers do land on your marketing, it sticks, because that way good marketing is just an exercise in memorization. And so as everybody's speaking the exact same language, that's what's really going to build you out that cohesive brand. And if you look at the ones that are truly dominating online, that's what they're doing, from their billboards to their social, to their radio commercials, to their LSA, to their websites. Everybody is using the exact same messaging. And so that way because it is that repetitive nature, right? Your brand has that more professional perception, but also it just seems like it's everywhere because you're hearing that same thing in multiple different channels. So you have a clear brand message and a clear cohesive strategy if you truly want to stand out online.
Yeah. I love it. And what immediately came to mind is like you're branding against yourself, because like if nothing's cohesive, it doesn't matter if you're everywhere. No one even knows it's you because everything's different. And if you're operating in these silos, you're actually spending marketing money against yourself.
Yeah. And unfortunately, whenever it comes to marketing, too many people market what they do instead of the problem that they solve. And so that would be, I would say, a big key takeaway for anyone. People don't want a roofer. They want a roof that doesn't leak. People don't want a plumber. They want clean water in their house. They want things that are leaking to not leak and water to flow where it should flow. Like, they want those things. And too often, whenever people are in their marketing, they're trying to sell a service instead of a solution to a problem. Very easy example to understand is like the fitness industry. Nobody wants a personal trainer. Nobody wants a meal plan, right? Like, they don't want those things. They want the result that those things give. And if you speak about that in your marketing, one, it's very, very clear, because customers are always looking for problems, for solutions to the problems that they're dealing with. And it makes you stand out online. Whenever you're talking, if you say that you're a plumber, guess what? You're just another plumber. But if you specialize in clean, pure water for your home, now all of a sudden people's ears perk up whenever they're looking for clean, pure water for their home. And so that's what I think is when it comes to the marketing messaging, is stop focusing on what you do and focus on the problem that you solve and how you actually help your customers win.
Yeah, 100%. And, we're very good in this industry of talking about what we want to hear and not talking about what the customer needs to hear. We really we just think they need to hear the stuff that we think like that matters. But what we think matters absolutely does not matter to our customers at all. But that's always like when you say you go on it looks like the website was written by the guy doing the work. It's because we're on there talking about what we think we should be, what we want to hear. While we're not the customer, but we lose sight of that. That's why I want to dive in to the story marketing that you're talking about, because I truly believe in this, and we lose sight. And actually, what we do is we lose customers because we talk about what we feel is important, and it is so irrelevant to our customers. Like what we think is important is the last thing if it's what would get you to buy, never put it on your website.
Exactly. So I'm going to give you an overview of the story brand framework. But before I do, one of the other things that I specifically see in the trades, I see this on almost every billboard that I drive by. I know that you're super passionate about this, but everybody in the trades, almost everybody, it says these exact same things. We're locally owned and operated. High integrity. You can trust us. Like they all say those same exact things. Like what makes you different? And if you think about it for any other business, I love local business. I own multiple local businesses. As a customer looking to solve a problem, I don't care if the business is local. I care if it can solve my problem. I don't care if they're based out of Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, New York, wherever. If they can solve my problem, I want the problem solved. I think that the trades put too much of an emphasis on that one, especially when you have a billboard with finite text. Let's not focus on that. Let's focus on something else. But how we can do that is, like you said, is with clear marketing. And so we as a story brand guide, we use the story brand marketing framework. And it, just like you said, Ron, like when you are not clear, you are losing customers. In story brand, we have a saying that says, when you confuse, you lose. And so with the story brand framework, what in essence it is it's learning how to position you and your brand as the guide to your customer's story, because your customers are the hero, right? It's, if you think about like Star Wars, in our business, we should not be Luke Skywalker. That should be our customers. We should come alongside them as like the Obi-Wan Kenobi or the Master Yoda that's there to help that customer get their problems solved, because they're the hero of the story and we're just there to guide them. And so how we do that within this story brand messaging framework is there's 7 different key talking points or little sound bites in our marketing that just follow the arc of the story for telling framework. The first thing is there's a customer. And so the customer has something that they want. The customer is not their demographics or their psychographics, but it's the thing that they actually want. The second thing of that is, well, what's the problem that's keeping that customer from getting what they want? And on that problem, there's 3 different levels. There's the internal, which is the main thing that they're dealing with. There's the there's the external, which is the main thing they're dealing with. There's the internal problem, which how does it make them feel having to deal with that? And the third one is the philosophical, like, why is it just morally wrong that they have to deal with that problem? And so they want something, but there's a problem. And so then along comes a guide. And so that is us as the business owners. And so we position ourselves as the guide by using empathy and authority, where we understand what it's like to deal with this problem. But guess what? We've solved it for hundreds or thousands of people just like that. And so after we've done that, what we want to do is we want to give them a plan. We want to show them the very simple 3 steps that they need to do in order to do business with us. After we've done that, we got to call them to action, because people do not take action unless they're called upon. Stop using on your website, learn more, discover how we help. Like, be clear and direct. Schedule your consultation, book your appointment, buy now, be clear and direct, and call your customers to action. So then they can do the last 2 things, which is 1, avoid mistakes, avoid failures, all the bad things that's going to happen if they don't do business with you. So then they can experience 7, which is the lasting success, the happily ever after they get this problem solved with you. And so what you do is you as story brand guys, we work with customers to help them to create those talking points. So like we said, then we have that clear brand messaging that we use that to put on our website and our email signatures, on our social content and our sales presentations when our guys are out door knocking and talking to customers and stuff. And we have those clear talking brand points. So that way it invites customers into a story. It positions you and your business as the expert guides to help them. And it clearly calls your customers to action. So they see that you are the one they should do business with.
Yeah, it's not. I love how you position that, is that the customer is the hero, not us. But too
Yeah.
often we come in there as we're the hero here to save whatever situation it is. But what that customer really wants is they want an expert. They want that guide. They want somebody that can help say, this is what's wrong. Here's how we fix it. Let's do this. They don't want somebody to just come in there and be like, I'm the guy. I'm the only one that can fix this, and we should do this.
Yeah, it's like the movie Anchorman. Like, hey, everybody, come see how good I look. Like, if you look at most websites for businesses, it's like we've been in business for over 30 years. We have all of these 5-star reviews. My great grandfather started this company, and that's great. And we can talk about that just a little bit. That's that authority expert, right? Because we do need to be able to show that we're trustworthy to solve the problem. The most of the copy and our marketing and our messaging that we use needs to be customer focused. It needs to be about them and the problem they're dealing with, and just positioning you as the guide to help them solve those problems.
Well, we want to show that stuff and answer those questions when they come up. We want to have the ability so they can validate that, but we're typically in the business of validating ourselves instead of just helping the customer, and let the customer validate. Like, so off, like if you're in front of a customer, they have probably done some research on you. Like, they don't need to know all this stuff.
Yeah.
But like, that's our only talking point, like you said, because it's what's on our billboards, it's what's on our webs. We don't know anything else to talk about when we get in front of them.
Yeah. So 100%, what I would tell anybody listening to this show is do a little exercise and just kind of take a step back and try to, as best as you can, put yourself in your customer's perspective, or even better, just make this part of your process. And whenever somebody's for your sales team, or whenever you guys are door knocking, or whatever the process be, and start asking the questions, like, well, what made you reach out? And listen to the words your customers say, because that is the most powerful thing. If they're reaching out, let's say you do backyards, right? And we might want to say something else on our marketing. Man, we've got some certification. There's this guy I was talking to the other day. He's got a special tractor or a back loader that has like extra wide tires, so it doesn't make divots in the backyard, all this stuff. And that's most of the stuff he was talking about. Cool. But as a customer, whenever they call, they're probably saying things like, oh man, I want a backyard that looks better than my neighbor's. That's why we need to have all of our website and our marketing of, do you want a backyard? Build a backyard better than your neighbors that makes the neighborhood jealous, that hosts all the neighborhood parties. That's the kind of stuff that customers want to hear when it comes to the problems that you solve. They want to hear those types of things. So start listening and paying attention, asking your sales team, the guys that are out doing calls and stuff, what are the specific words and phrases that the customers are using? Because I think specifically in industries like the trades, it's easy to use a lot of insider language that they have no idea. Customers have no idea what that stuff means. And if so, they're probably going to call you anyway. And so we want to make sure that we're using their words. So pay attention to those. I mean, you can even use Chat GPT. Start thinking like a customer. These are the services I use. What problems would a customer have in normal everyday language? What problems would they be saying that they have in relation to these services? And just start the brainstorming process, and then just try it. Whenever you get a next lead that comes in, start using those words and see how, if you start to see those eyes and ears perk up whenever you're talking to a customer, that like, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
I'll double down on that. Like, that is a must, to start asking those questions and take it one step further. So I felt like I had a disconnect in our sales process, and we closed high, but I still just felt like I'm missing something. So what I did was I recorded a dozen sales calls, threw them into Chat GPT, and was like, and for the ones I was doing, I started asking some pinpoint questions like what you're talking about. So I would get that data in there, but we're human in my mind. Like I can have preconceived notions. I can hear what I want to hear. So I feed all of this information in there and I asked it, what are they saying? And the top two things weren't even on my radar. I was
Wow.
completely missing them. And I was like, see, that's it. That is why, because I have we have these thought processes of what we want to, we hear what we want to hear. So if you can take it and even like have somebody like you, that's a third party, you have the only invested interest you have is to make things better. You don't have any preconceived notions about what exactly was said and what wasn't. It can be very, very powerful and eye-opening when you do that.
Yeah, oftentimes we, as a business owner, right, especially when it comes to branding and messaging and stuff, it's like the little puppy dog. Like we love it so much, but we're just squeezing the life out of it because we don't want to let certain things go. It's like, no, this tagline, I really like it because it rhymes, or I really like the colors of this logo. But one of the things that we always tell our customers is we do not make decisions, especially marketing and business decisions, off of personal preference or emotion. We make it off of data and analytics, because especially now in the digital marketing world, there are so many data and analytic tools that we can get. I can tell you if we should change the color to this button right now, because we can test it and see if by changing it from orange to green, it's going to get more clicks. I can tell you by the changing the tagline, like we can have data to do those things. So we don't have to guess. Like obviously, whenever you're first starting out, it's testing different things, but you have data to know if it works or not. So I think too often we get too attached to our business. Like, right, we got the logo made, we put it on a hat and a business card, and we're super excited to show our friends. But we don't ever have any data to see if was that even a good tagline? Is this keyword that I'm trying to rank for on Google, is it even actually bringing me customers? Like we have enough data now to where we don't have to guess. We can use that to make our decisions.
Yeah, yeah. Keywords on Google, that's a whole nother thing. But like you said, we're going off of what we like, not what the customer like. Like I said, like if you're trying to rank for keywords that you would search, you're wrong. Like that's just the wrong way to do it. Like you have to try to get in the customer's mindset.
Yeah, one of the big things we do at our agency is search engine optimization, or SEO, specifically for local SEO. And one of the things, this is how specific it can be, is one, I think there's a lot of confusion that's spread around SEO and what it is. But for this point specifically, we were looking for, this was a plumbing company, and there was a big difference in the amount of search volume for the city name and plumber versus the city name and plumbing versus the city name and plumbing services. And so each one of those had a different customer search intent behind it, and a dramatic difference in volume. And it also was different for the cities. So these were two cities that were side by side. They were suburbs of each other. One, the word plumber and the city name was like dramatically higher, but its next door neighbor city, which has about the same amount of people that live in it, it was flipped. And it was like plumbing had way more search for that specific city. So that's where, whenever you're doing this stuff, like you shouldn't be guessing. You should hopefully be working with an expert, or you're using the right tools and everything to search this stuff yourself. So it's not guesswork. It's data and analytics giving those decisions for you.
Yeah, it will, and it can be very confusing. Like I think that's one of the problems, like we talked about a little bit before we jumped on here, with marketing in the trades, is like people are just confused, and then they make uneducated decisions. They don't look at the data, because most of the time you don't even know. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know that you can have this information. You can work with somebody that understands this stuff and makes it less confusing.
Yeah, I might get a little ranty here for a second. So I'm
Go
sorry.
right ahead.
I get very frustrated because I'm a small business owner. Our agency is a very boutique agency. We're not a big, massive team. I've got a staff of like 8 full-time people and a couple of part-time contractors that work for me. So we're not this big, massive agency working with thousands of different clients and stuff. But what I do love doing is taking clients from those big, massive agencies, because what I find out specifically in the trades is how often they're getting taken advantage of. So this is one thing that I would tell you when it comes to marketing and marketing agency owners. This would be, I'm going to give you guys and your listeners a few kind of red flags to kind of watch out for, or if your current agency is doing this, kind of make your ears perk up and kind of question them a little bit more. Because what I have found, the industries that we specifically work a lot with is like the trades, the medical, and consulting. And so a lot of in the medical field, the physicians and stuff typically have so much money that they're just like, oh yeah, we need to pay somebody to do it. I don't want to learn it. With the trades, I feel as often as times the agencies will try to take advantage of them, and they'll try to overcomplicate all the different aspects of marketing. So they're just like, I know I need to be doing SEO. So here, this guy says he does SEO for the trades. Let's just give him money. I want everybody listening to be a little bit more educated before you just go hire an agency, and some things to look for and to consider. So some big red flags that I have seen specifically with the trades is one, you need to understand that if an agency is really, really big, the reason why they're really, really big is because they've created a systematic process to scale. So typically, that's not always a bad thing, but typically what that means is in order for them to scale to a certain level, they've had to make a lot of repeatable processes, which I love. Processes, systems, templates. I love all that stuff. But what that typically also means is that it's not individualized to your business, to your city, and everything. So a lot of times is you are getting some cookie cutter stuff, and you are also oftentimes they are working with your competition as well. So especially whenever you look at something like search engine optimization or SEO, if you want your business to rank for number one, whenever you look for home builder Dallas, for example. Well, if they're working with several other home builders in Dallas, how can they really make you rank number one? Like if a lot of these big agencies, they're not public with exclusivity or anything. And so they might be getting a lot of home builders or construction, different trades workers in the same city to pay them money for SEO. That, I'm just gonna be honest, I think that's extremely unethical, because how can you take money from a customer, telling them that you're going to get them to rank higher, when you're also taking money from the competition, telling the exact same thing? So you definitely want to ask those kind of questions. Is, do I get exclusivity in my city and in my market for my service? And if so, how big is that? Because a lot of them will be like, oh yeah, you get exclusivity in your city, but the next market town over, that's 1 mile away, but you don't get that one, or you have to pay extra for that. So just understand what territories you're actually getting for that. The other really, really big thing is, do you actually own all of your digital assets? So a lot of times, in order to scale, these companies will build their websites on proprietary systems and everything. So that way, whenever you go to try to leave them, you can't. Because what happens is they'll be like, oh, well, you own the website, you own the URL, but you don't actually own the website. You couldn't take it and give it to another agency, or you couldn't manage it in-house because it's built upon their system. And so ask that question if you actually own it, or what happens if you want to go to separate. Because that's a big thing that I have found lately with a lot of the trade clients that we've gotten. They don't actually even own their website. They thought that they did. And some of them, they thought they owned the domain, but that previous agency actually owned the domain. So they had to buy the domain and everything from them. So that's one thing that you really should know is, do you actually own and have access to all of your data? Like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, do you actually own and have access to all that stuff? Could you separate if you wanted to? And then what kind of exclusivity are you getting? Are they also working for your competition? Because how are they going to help you be the best if they're working with your competition? So I see that being taken advantage of. It's not that difficult. Like if you break it down, it's a lot of work, but it's not that difficult. You need a good, if you're saying, hey, what do we need for our marketing? Number one is you need a good, clear brand message. I love the story brand framework because that's what I'm a part of. And I think it's a really good messaging framework that is very, very simple to understand. It positions you as the guide, like we already talked about. After you have that, you want to distribute that message on a website. I think your website should be professional. It shouldn't look like you made it yourself, or, oh, my friend Johnny built it, or my nephew, he was wanting to learn website, so he built it. This is your digital storefront. We talked about, like, that's awesome that you've been in business for 30, 50, whatever years. This is a legacy generational business. Well, your website shouldn't look like it's 30, 50 years old. This is the first impression a lot of times customers get. So you need to have a really good professional website that makes you stand out online. And I think that should also plug into the third thing, which is a sales funnel. So once somebody comes to your website, if they're not ready to schedule a consultation or book a service and an appointment with you, how do we have a way of collecting their information so we can plug them into our sales team, follow up with them with emails and texts so we stay on top of mind. So whenever they are ready, they do think of us. And then on top of that, once we build those foundational things, we got to send people there. And I think that, especially for local businesses, getting your Google business profile optimized for the Google Map Pack rankings and getting a good local SEO, search engine optimization plan and process to start driving traffic. And that's the foundation of everything. And then once you have that stuff in place, then we can start looking at paid ads and LSA and pay-per-click and meta ads and stuff like that. But until you have that foundational stuff in place, you don't need to do it. So if you're working with an agency, ask them those questions, make sure you have those things in place. So that way you have a good solid foundation to really start building this awesome business.
I love it. And this is how, and Sean, I know you're the real deal, because like what you're talking about is, I think it's very predatory, like how guys don't own any of their stuff and it's set up that way intentionally. And I cannot stress this enough to everybody listening. Own your stuff. Whoever you're using, if you do not own it, and they're probably not somebody you want to work with. Like I've seen this, like you said, you're seeing it, and then they want a ton of money to buy everything back after you've been paying. It's very predatory in my mind, and that is not how it should work. The companies that are doing it right, like you, are helping them set it up so they own it all, and like you're not there for entrapment. You're there to prove you can do what you're doing, and if you don't, they can go somewhere else, and you're not going to charge them a bunch of money to get their stuff back. And
Yeah.
it just, to me, it's irritating because that's not how places should do business. And then, like you're saying, get your foundation set before you start spending any money on ads. It's immediately always like, how much do you want to spend a month in Google ads or meta ads? We're just going to add that right into the budget right off the bat before we even know anything. And it's so ass backwards of how it should be done. And it can be aggravating. I can see how it's probably aggravating for you.
Oh, yeah.
In this work. I mean,
Yeah,
it aggravates me, and I don't.
I always tell customers all the time, especially because a lot of times they'll reach out to us initially wanting to do paid ads. And I always use this analogy, like, we're not going to add water to a bucket with holes in it. Like, I don't want to just give you money. I don't want you just to pay us money or pay Google or Meta money just to fill a bucket with holes in it. Because if you haven't set it up, the foundations properly, those leads are just going to be pouring out. And then, and going back to what you said about owning the things, whenever I explain it to this, sometimes it clicks for people. Your website should be thought of as your digital storefront. If you have a physical location and a building, would you allow your real estate agent or general contractor to keep the key to let you in the front door every morning? No, you wouldn't. But so many times, like, that's what they do with marketing agencies. They're like, oh yeah, the marketing guy, he'll let us in. Like, no. That's great. The marketing agency, they can be your security guard watching out over everything, but they shouldn't be the one that lets you in. I always tell business owners, I'm not expecting you guys to all be website experts, but you should at least know how to open up the door, which would be just like log into your website and change the headline if you wanted to, like something very, very basic, because that lets you know you have access to it. And it shouldn't be done on anything complicated or anything like that to where they have the control, because what that does is it just locks you in. And typically you've signed up on a big, huge retainer. They've locked you in on a website. It's built on a complicated platform that only they can manage, that has to always be kept up with updates. So you feel obligated to pay them. And then because they get you locked in, they're not motivated to try and innovate and change and see what's working and adaptive things, because they've already got you on the retainer. We always tell our clients, like, you shouldn't have to pay me to let you in to your website. Like, do not ever pay I tell every client this, do not pay us money because you're afraid of losing your digital assets. You own everything. You should pay us money for our retainers because we're getting you results and driving value. If we're not, please let me know and I will refund you, and I will, give you your money back and cancel your contract, because I don't want to be just taking somebody's money or them feeling obligated to pay me. Like, we should be adding value, just like, and that's why I love the construction champions mindset and everything too. Is these people, they're just not out there just trying to make a quick buck. Like, they're masters of their crafts. They're proud of what they do. They want to give the best value. They want people to be proud and happy with the service that they provide and everything. And I think that, you know, that's who we like to help. And so we do the exact same thing from the marketing perspective.
Yeah, it links us right back to what we were talking about stuff being complicated, and then taking something that's complicated and overcomplicating it just to make it seem like it's not something that you should have any knowledge. But as the business owner, you should have at least a baseline operation, like, knowledge of how to do some things. Like, you don't have to be the expert. It's our jobs to hire the experts, but like, to cast the vision and be able to tell people where we're going and how we're going to do it, you have to have some kind of foundation or understanding of how stuff works.
Yeah, and if you go to hire, like you said, marketing or any of these other contractors or vendors and stuff that you're working with, and they can't simplify it and explain it to you, then they are not an expert, and you need to hire somebody else. Because think about your craft, whether it be, like plumbing, electrical, GC work. You could simplify something to where a middle school kid could understand why we need to use why we're going to go tankless versus a tank type water heater. Like, you could explain that because you're an expert. If I was trying to explain it, I mean, I don't know. One's cooler, it gives me hotter water fast. Like, but I'm not an expert. So whenever you are looking to hire these vendors, especially in things like marketing, if they can't simplify it to where you go, oh, I get it, find the real expert, because they can do that.
Awesome, man. I love it. This has been an amazing conversation here today. For all the champions listening, if they wanted to connect with you, follow you, learn more about what you do, where's the best places for them to do that?
Yeah, the best way would be our website. You can go to SeanGarner.co. It's SeanGarner.co. And specifically for today's episode, if they go to SeanGarner.co/CC podcast for the Construction Champions podcast, we're going to have all kinds of resources and free guides and stuff on and they're specifically for the Construction Champions listeners. We're going to have a marketing domination checklist that I know that they're going to do, so that way they can download and they can make sure they have these things in their marketing. So not only they can be a construction champion, but they can be an industry dominator as well.
Awesome, man. I love it. Thank you for taking the time and being on the show today.
Thank you so much.
All right, construction champions, another episode in the bag. I think when Sean was talking about the missed messaging between all the different assets that you have, and to me, that just hit home, because I drive around and I see it. I see messages that don't align with businesses, and there's no staying power. You're just wasting the money. You don't have any cohesiveness to what you're actually doing or trying to say to your customer. If everything's different, I know, you're gonna argue with me on this one. You're gonna say, well, I want to make sure I get the right message in front of the right customer. Well, if the message is always different, it's never the right message, because what you're doing is you're bringing in the wrong customers. If you figure out what that cohesive message is and you stick with that, you know what's going to happen? And you can challenge me on this, but you have to go do it and then come back and tell me this didn't work. You're going to get better customers. You're going to get more qualified customers for the work you actually want to do in the work that you make the most money off of. That's what happens. It's not rocket science. It's just spending some time to actually think about this from not you perspective. I'm super guilty of this, because especially with what I do now. Like, I own this software company for the construction industry. I come from the construction industry. You know what I did? I wrote the copy for my first website. Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to myself how I thought I needed to be talked to. It was horrible. Did not deliver the message. Our brand had a major disconnect with our customers. And you know why? It's because I was involved, because I thought, oh, I'm my customer. Like, I come from the industry. I couldn't have been any more wrong. Are we perfect now? No, but we continue to get better. And you know why? Because I hire people that understand that stuff better than I do. So we continuously get better. That's what you have to do. And then, like Sean said, you have to ask the right questions. Because one thing that did happen from the disaster of all of that was I learned what I wanted and the questions I should be asking because I already failed at it. So most of us have already failed at this. So you know what questions to ask. Don't let it become overcomplicated and you not ask your questions because you're made to feel like you don't understand it and it's something that's more complicated than what you can comprehend. You're a business owner. You can comprehend it. Ask the questions and be okay with it. And if it's not a fit, find somebody else and ask them the questions. Like we say on here all the time, you got to bring experts into your circle. I do it. I have mentors, I have coaches, I have experts around me. And the reason why is because they know the stuff I don't know, but they're vetted. I've had the conversations with them. It's not like I just randomly found somebody and then was pressured into a situation where, oh, you don't understand this. It's too confusing. I can't even explain it to you. I just don't do business with those people. So find the people that can become that inner circle, your support to help you get to where you need to go. And until next time, be the champion you were meant to be.